And on that note, Great Expectations Realty and Auction, we have a very special guest. Obviously, we talk about her every single day on this show. We have Jena Dennis from Great Expectations Realty, and she's built her career on one powerful truth: that your past does not define your financial future. I love that. That gives a lot of confidence and security with people. She grew up with very little and reshaped her entire outlook on money and wealth, and now helps others to step into opportunities they never thought were meant for them. And that is the heart and mission of Great Expectations. Jena, welcome back to Sunny. Good to see you.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me.
We're just excited to jump into this conversation.
You forgot to say, and the only woman who looks amazing in every shade of green.
Oh, that's your line. How perfect.
Oh my God.
No, but honestly, let's talk about some shades of green. We're going to talk about some money today, which I think this is a really great conversation because you read this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Am I saying that right?
Yes, by Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay. Can we dive into this a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah. So for me, that's a defining book in my life. Growing up, my mom was a single mom. We didn't have a ton of money and things were always tight. So I grew up with this mentality of struggling to always pay off debt and to be debt free. And for me, that was like always a goal. Over the years, I always listened to podcasts and read books about paying off debt, living debt free. And one day I came across that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And when I read it, it changed my entire perspective. It made me realize, wait a minute, there's a totally different mindset here. So I'm always telling everyone, you gotta read this book, you gotta read this book. And I've even made my two oldest boys read it, and they love it.
Really?
Yes, because I think it's so important to start them at a young age with understanding. School teaches most people to be good employees. You go to school, you learn, okay, what kind of job do you wanna do? Here's what you need to do to be successful. Well, everyone's idea of success is different. It's important that you create your own success. And being an employee might not be for you. You might want to be an entrepreneur, or you might want to be something totally different that traditional school doesn't line you up to do. So I think this book is amazing. Everyone should read it. It starts off by saying, to build generational wealth, it's important that you are not exchanging your time for money. It's all about building passive income, and you can do that by leveraging assets to be able to continue to grow. You have to be able to grow exponentially to build passive income and generational wealth.
I feel dopey for working for nonprofits for so long because honestly, I was chasing paycheck to paycheck and going with my heart and knowing that that's putting a currency back into my community. But at the same time, I could have been hurting my financial wealth at the same time.
It's always a balance. You can still work for a nonprofit. There's a lot of people that have a 9-to-5 job, but it's your mindset. When you change your mindset, then you learn, okay, wait a minute, maybe I don't have to work on paying off my house. Maybe once I get my house paid down to a certain point, I take some of that equity and either buy a new house that suits me better and rent out my old one, or I take that equity and buy some other type of asset that it may not cash flow right away, which means you may not get money out of it right away. It might just self-sustain or pay for itself. But what that's doing, it's setting you up in 20 years, you'll be able to pay off that asset, and that's gonna be your retirement. So it's teaching you how to really set yourself up for success long-term. Nothing in life is quick and easy. But once you change that mindset and you realize, hey, I can do this. This is a long-term plan. I don't want my retirement plan to be a 401k. I want it
Mine's
to be.
Mine's a joke right now.
Well, so many people, and it's so hard in this economy right now for people to think about, so many people are living month to month.
Think about saving.
But my dad was always one of those dads. It was just
mine.
You leave it in there, you let it go, it will always bounce back.
Sometimes.
But I gotta tell you, I'm waiting for that bounce back. I have not seen it recover.
So what I found interesting was at the gyms on Cheryl Stairs, I was having a conversation when the kids come in. I'm like, how was school today? This one girl goes, Coach Mel. I said, what? She goes, in my personal finance class. I said, wait a minute, you have a class called personal finance? She said, yeah. I said, what do you learn? She goes, well, we learned about taxes. She goes, I said, so what did you think about that? She goes, I don't want to pay that. That's going to take all my money. They learn how to balance a budget.
Smart.
I can't remember what high school she goes to. I want to say it's Beachside maybe. But I thought that was pretty interesting that they do have a class like that. I don't know if they have them at all the high schools, but
So do you think financial literacy is something that definitely should be instilled in our youth?
Absolutely, but don't rely on the public school system to teach it to your children.
Why not?
Because it's great, don't get me wrong. What they're teaching in schools is helpful, but it's only one way. And there's always more than one way to do things. And it's important that you give your children every opportunity to see every way and let them figure out what's best for them. So for instance, I don't necessarily believe in 401ks. I don't know if when you have a minute, Google the history of 401ks.
That's what I've been doing.
Because then it'll be like Googling what's in a hot dog.
Well, it is. It will
same
change your
concept.
mindset. You're like, wait a minute, this was never
Sitting there
created
doing nothing.
as a retirement, right?
I'd rather take that and put it into something, passive income,
Yes.
that could make it worth my while.
Yeah. And it's not for everyone. Some people are very risk averse. And, for instance, my brother and I are very different animals. Like, I love risk, but always mitigated risk. Like, for instance, I don't like leveraging more than 50% of anything.
Okay.
So I don't mind debt, but I do have my tipping point. I want to be not recession proof, but I want to make sure if recession happens, it's not going to put me in a position where I can't continue to move forward and sustain.
Yeah.
So there's always a balance. My brother is the opposite. He has his 401k from the job he's been working at for 25 years, and he has a stable, he needs that stability. And both are great. There's nothing wrong with either. But if I could have started my journey 20 years earlier, it would have been just such a different scenario right now. And I'm blessed and I'm grateful for where I am. But I have learned that I'm teaching my kids now what I wish I knew back then. Like, all 3 of my kids have Roth IRAs already.
Awesome.
All of them are on payroll and they work. And they are learning about balancing budgets, and they're learning about taxes and, generational wealth and how to grow what you have so you're not constantly working for income. My goal is to not have to work and exchange my hours for money. My goal is to have my money work for me. And Robert Kiyosaki talks a lot about that in this book. You want your money to work for you. So it's amazing.
So how does real estate tie into that?
So for me, I have so many real estate customers that come to me and they're like, oh, I'd like to sell my house. And most realtors would just say, okay, great, let's list your home and da-da-da. And that's great. But I try to delve deeper into it. I'm like, okay, so tell me what's going on in your life. What makes you want to sell this asset? And depending on their responses, we sit down and we discuss, is selling your house the best option? There's been many times I've said, well, what if you keep your house and rent it out? And then since you don't have a mortgage on it, for instance, just an example, let's take the income from that to pay the mortgage on your new house so that you have 2 assets. And one day, once that one gets down paid to a certain point, let's pull equity out of another one to buy a 3rd house. And what we're doing is we're exponentially growing their assets. So when they're ready to retire, everything's paid off because it's self-sustaining. And they have all that passive income coming in to retire on, and they're not worried about, how am I going to live within the means of my 401k? So for me, real estate is my biggest investment. That's where the bulk majority of our assets are, is in real estate, because it's stable. Even though, the market will go up and down, real estate goes up and down.
People are always going to need somewhere to live.
But it's long term. Real estate has always come back. So other types of assets, it's good to have a healthy balance. But looking at real estate as an investment opportunity, not just a home, I think is critical for people to truly build generational wealth and to have something to pass down to your kids.
So I heard a headline on the morning news today that kids that can't afford, or young adults that can't afford to buy a house these days, are investing in the market or investing in stock market or crypto. What are your thoughts on something like that? I mean, obviously you're in the market for investing in real estate, but have you heard anything like that? Is that successful?
So again, I think everyone has different needs and different priorities in life. I sat down with a couple last week, actually, the son of a dear friend of mine who passed away a few years ago. And he was telling me, well, we want to travel. They're young and we want to travel. We don't want to buy a house. And I said, well, I understand you don't want to buy a house, but you've been renting where you are for 3 years now. So you're already paying someone else's mortgage.
True.
You're saying you don't want to buy a house because you don't want to settle in one place. You want to be able to travel and move. what if, rather than paying someone else's mortgage, what if you bought something right now and put that into your own mortgage? And that, just because you own a house doesn't mean you're stuck in one place.
Right.
When you're ready to move on, rent it out, let someone else pay your mortgage.
How hard is that
while
though?
you travel? It's really not.
Okay.
Really?
Like,
So-
I don't know how to fix anything. So is there a property manager that can do it for me?
Well, it's not so hard to do your own. There's an answer to every question. There's a solution to every problem. You just have to be creative and you have to be diligent.
Okay.
Nothing in life is easy and free.
True.
We know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we do.
it's worth it, though. It truly is worth it. The house on Cochrane in Hastings, I'm not going to call her out today because she'll be embarrassed, but a dear friend of mine just probably 2 months ago, she's renting in Hastings, and she came and she said, listen, I want to buy this house. I have very little to no down payment. My credit is, not great. I have all these challenges. I don't feel like I'll ever be able to buy a house. And I was like, let's see what we can do. We sat down, I put her in touch with a lender, we came up with a plan, and we closed on our house last week.
How amazing.
It was amazing. And her and her husband looked at me and they're like, we never, ever thought that this was a possibility. It is. You just have to align yourself. Mindset is first. Second is align yourself with people that care about you, that it's not just about, oh, let's sell a house. It's about, let's figure out a game plan. Let's sit down and come up with a strategy. And you may not buy a house in 2 months. It might not be for everyone, but even if you buy it in 6 months or 12 months, you have to take the first step to start that momentum going. So it's absolutely a possibility.
So how did you use this book to leverage what you have accomplished in Hastings?
Oh gosh, in so many ways. For me, over the years, I have learned a lot. I learned that residential property rentals were not for me. I don't want to know about your toilet overflowing at 2 a.m.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
So, I did start out in residential rentals and I cut my teeth on them per se. Great learning experience, and I did make enough money selling those in order to buy commercial. So now we do commercial rentals, and that's a huge blessing. I love that. But again, everyone has their own path. But for us, we were able to buy these properties in Hastings, renovate them, fix them up, and not only rent them out to tenants, but rent them out to people that are making a difference in the community by bringing needed businesses. And so for me, it's not just a business, it's my heart and my soul and my passion, and it's able to help us achieve what we were trying to do on a bigger scale in the community. You mentioned I've been working for nonprofits all my life and I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Well, you can still work for nonprofits and pour your heart and soul into things like that. And you would be shocked at the ways that you can leverage those opportunities and connections to still help you build generational wealth and to still help you do all the things you want to do. It's all about getting your mindset right and understanding where those opportunities are.
So we're talking a lot about buying. So then why rent?
Why rent?
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Exactly.
I mean, here you are, you have these commercial properties and listings and things, but why would somebody rent? Why come to a person and rent?
Everyone has their own reasons. I feel like when people are first getting into the workforce and they don't have a down payment or they haven't figured out what they want to do with their life yet, renting can be good. When people are in transitional periods in their life, that can be good. But I'm a huge proponent of owning your assets. I think it's so important that people buy when they can. And even commercial buildings, if you start your business and you have to rent the first year or two, great. But within a year or two of renting, you should be trying to buy that building from your landlord or figure out a way to eventually buy your own property and run your business out of that. Because I see so many people that build their businesses and have owned businesses for 30 years and it's time to retire and they want to go sell their business and they realize they are their business. There's nothing to sell. When they go away, there's barely any assets and you can't sell yourself.
Right.
So if you own your building that your business is in, then at least you have some type of asset to sell when you retire.
Yeah.
you're paying the mortgage anyways.
Right.
Exactly.
The rent is the mortgage. Most of the time when we look at people's situations, they could own their building, the mortgage payment, the property taxes, and the insurance for what they're paying in rent.
So now let me switch gears here because I was waiting to see you to ask you. When is the cheese shop opening in Hastings?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry I have to interrupt. I'm sorry I have to.
It's a good question.
I said yesterday.
She's obsessed with
Yes.
this
David
one.
was
I
like,
love
Jenna's
it.
going to be here tomorrow. I said, I'm going to ask her. So I've been sitting over here, like, looking at the questions. I'm like, I'm going for it.
Yes.
Cheese shop.
It's not a cheese shop, exactly. So it's Holcomb's Meat and Seafoods.
Okay.
They passed their inspection yesterday. We're super excited for him. They are doing their grand opening this Saturday.
Okay.
In the beginning, he may not immediately start out with the local dairy. He's
Okay.
working on those relationships as we speak. His first goal is to get all the meat and seafood in place.
Okay.
Then he's going to branch out and do, like I said, some local dairy, cheeses, milks, honeys, spices, a little bit of everything.
Awesome.
Okay, so soon.
Yes. So if you want to stop by this weekend and see him, he will officially be open. And then, it's just going to get better from here.
I
They're
do want to.
super sweet local
I do
family.
want to ask you because I want to pivot back to this conversation really quick about investor mistakes.
Yeah.
And what happens there? Is it something that I guess like you said, you live 50% in and 50% out of the deal. Talk a little bit about that and shape it
Yeah.
because I want to get that fear out of mistakes.
So for me, I've made hundreds of mistakes, probably more mistakes than I can count. But that is what has made me grow. Excuse me. I think mistakes are wonderful. I'm all about mistakes because with every mistake, you learn something new. And so what if you lose something on one deal? You pick up your boots and you move on. Going into the next deal, you're going to do better. I think only risk what you can afford to risk. That's very important. And when I sit down with my people, we talk about that. Like, where is your comfort level? Some people are way more aggressive than others. There's no right or wrong answer. You have to figure out where your level of comfort is. And even if you make a mistake on your first investment property, you're going to learn something from that mistake to do better the next time. You've got to quit living in fear of mistakes. It truly is something that you're not going to win on every deal, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But overall, if the fact that you own an investment property, period, is a step in the right direction. There's always ways to troubleshoot, problem solve, and pivot. Those are some of my favorite things to do in life. People call me and they're like, oh my gosh, I've got myself in a pickle. Here's what's going on. And I'm like, okay, so here's some options. Let's talk about this. What works best for you? What's the easiest to attain? And you got to pivot is one of my favorite words in life.
So what's a
Pivot.
good practical step to start a better financial journey?
Sit down, read Robert Kiyosaki. That will help put your mindset in the right place. Just open your eyes to start contemplating. And he's obviously not the only author. There's tons of amazing authors out there.
Well, I have PTSD from Susie Orman, so maybe he can probably
Yes.
clear that up for me. Literally, the
Yes.
woman, I have so much fear about using your credit card or anything. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm gonna
And
she's
that
gonna come
other-
find me.
You know what book I read that kind of made me like, oh God, Ramsey.
Yeah,
Ramsey. A
yeah,
lot of people
yeah.
swear by his stuff. I tried to do it. And to be honest, for myself, it's not obtainable.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
So I used to read Dave Ramsey. He was someone I followed when I was
It's
younger.
hard.
And it's not that it's hard, it's just that it's very one-track minded.
Yeah, I don't like
And-
one-track minds.
You can work your whole life and have that stable 9 to 5 and do exactly what he says, and you can be happy, and that's great. But
It's not me.
it's not for everyone. So I think, understanding your goals is important, figuring out your goals, setting goals is important. But, I think just taking a step forward and, sitting
leap
down
of
with
faith.
someone, a leap of faith.
But I like you said you have to surround yourself to the people that are fanning your flames. I think that is so
100%.
important in this day and
It
age.
is. It's everything.
Because otherwise your flames will go out and then you'll feel trapped in a house that you don't want to, that's not where you're growing and learning and things. I think that's really,
Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you.
yeah.
Absolutely.
That is the best way to learn more.
That's why I surround myself with RJ.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely smarter than me. But how can people, talking about this last question here, all of the things, interest rates, inventory, all of it, how do you stay ahead of the curve?
So everything is always changing. That's why it is important to always assess every situation, assess long-term goals. You know, interest rates, people say to me, oh my gosh, interest rates are so high right now. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You've got to look at the big picture. Historically, over the last 100 years, interest rates are great right now. Everyone's gotten spoiled from the COVID interest rates. The likelihood of that happening again is very slim. So buy now. Buy when it's right for you. Don't look at just interest rates. There's so much more to the big picture, because as interest rates go down, prices go up. So it's, you know,
kind of
Yeah.
evens
it's
out, basically.
absolutely. So to me, that's an excuse. That's a closed
Almost like a
mindset.
ruse. It's
Yes.
almost fooling people.
100%.
Interesting how
Yeah.
they do that. Okay.
It's all about what is the right time for you. So if you can afford 10% down and there's a loan that you can do to buy your first home, do it. You know, there's FHA products and even conventional products now with 3% down, and then you can wrap the closing cost into your offer to the seller so that your closing costs are paid. There's first-time home buyer programs. There's hometown hero programs that help with down payment assistance. There's no reason not to.
God, like that downtown property that you still have on the market. I love that one. You know what I'm talking about, with the rooftop view?
Yes.
Oh, that's an amazing piece.
Yes.
Yes.
All right,
Oh,
let's buy it.
I know. What am I
Jena,
waiting for?
It's amazing. Yeah.
Jenna, thank you for your time. This
Yeah,
conversation is not
thank
over.
you.
I want more of these financial conversations because it gives you confidence, and it aligns me with the right people to surround myself with. Thank you so much for your time
Absolutely.
today.
So
Thanks
good
for
to
having
always
me.
see you.
So,
I
so
love
good,
you.
so good. And so good are our great friends over at Maritime Creative, speaking of RJ, and Flashes and Brilliance.